And then from that point forward, I still dealing with a lot of stuff. And I managed to put weight on very rapidly. And that really messes with your self-esteem. You know, at one point, my heaviest, I was about 5'5", 200 pounds. And it wasn't muscle. You know, it was a rough time. I was a big kid. So you're going up through junior high school. You start to put up emotional barriers. You don't get people that don't let them get too close because they're always going to cut you down. Always going to tear you down because you know pain. That's all you know. So you put up that barrier. You let people get close to a certain point. You care about people to a certain point. You can never get past that. That's the safety. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. So I built it up in my life. I was putting on the weight rapidly. I started not to care anymore. We got to the point where I was in high school. I was in about grade 11, maybe grade 10. And we were talking, and I was in a worship team at the time. I was here in St. Luke still, of course. But I was in a separate worship team with my father and my uncle. And a friend of mine came to watch us one time because he had spent the night at my place the night before. And then we're at school the next day, and he said, okay, well, this is what we did. I'm like, well, shh, I don't want anyone to know I'm a Christian. I was very, very hush about that. I was ashamed. I wanted to be me in the world. I wanted to be the real me in the world. I didn't want people to know what I stood for, what I believed. I still believed in God. I believed existed. I just wouldn't have anything to do with it. And I renounced that. You know, I've made quite a few mistakes from that point. And from then on, there came a breaking point in my life. I can't exactly place when, but I started to lose the weight, started to live actively, live better. My life has slowly been going forward. And up until about maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I was fresh out of high school. I had one full-time job that lasted a couple months, and that ran out of work. I was out of work for construction, so I figured, okay, I'll hop over to Purolator. And I was working the night shift, sleeping all day, loading up trailers in the middle of winter. So it's like minus 35 and a giant refrigerator, and you're packing stacks of boxes and 4 trailers in a row every day, 5 days a week. You didn't really have an active social life because you're sleeping all hours of the day. Get up about 10 p.m., eat a meal, go to work. Get off about 7 a.m., sleep. Sleep. And again, that funny, familiar feeling came back into my life. Depression. I started to slip off and not care. And even my interaction at work just started to slowly lose its taste and lose its senses. And I started not to care. And it was slipping. It was drifting further and further away. And I remember, there I am, I started praying again. I had hours and hours of music. I had my radio plugged in. Everyone had music. And one day they said, okay, no music today, for just random reasons. And that is, ask anybody. If I don't have music, I go nuts. You know, I had my stereo ripped out of my truck a couple of weeks ago, and they took my stereo and a big portion of my dad. Anyway, I got this little MP3 player and this little speaker that's no bigger than that. I've got it cranked up full. If I don't have that, I go absolutely nuts. So I'm standing in this trailer in the middle of winter, minus 30, minus 35, stacking boxes by myself with no music. So I'm losing them. Okay, I'm going to try something then. I started to pray. I started to talk to God. It wasn't like, oh Lord, you know, you are so good. I was just like, hey, you know, I know it's been a while. I'm so screwed right now. I'm not having a good day. They took away my music. I just vented a little while. And that kept going on. And there was no music for that entire week, but I just kept talking. And it felt good. You know, I started to slowly gain a part of me back I hadn't had for a long time. So I'm sitting there praying. This is about half a week later. I said, Lord, you need to get me out of this. I hate this job, and I can't get out myself. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I said, Lord, I'll make you a deal. Make you a deal. You get me out of this trailer. You get me involved with music somewhere. No, better yet, I'll be more specific. You put me on a musical tour. And I'll go do what you want me to do. Because years earlier, I knew that I was to become a pastor. And I said no. At first it was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. It was okay, and then it lost its flavor of the month feeling. I thought, nah, pursue my music. My music. So I'm in the trailer. The week after that, music's turned back on. I get a call from Brandon Latoon, and he says, you know, I have this friend who's asking about a drummer. And, they're from this little Christian band called Gates Ave. I've never heard of it. He said, well, you know, they're going Want to try out? Yeah. So I went there, I got the gig, and we toured around, and I was in an atmosphere of praise and worship for about 6 hours a day every day. I tell you, I've never done more growing at such a faster point in time than that. A month and a half of touring, I was just so engulfed in the presence of the Lord. I was starting to actually develop a real relationship, not an understanding of what God looked like and what I looked like in that picture. But I started to know Him and experience Him. So I came back, and we all still have our struggles, but it wasn't until last week, I was having a bit of a down day, and I was talking to my girlfriend Melanie about it, and I'm just like, we need to pray. I need your prayer, I just feel so down and terrible myself. And we prayed, and afterwards she looked at me, and she said, you know what? Even if I don't like you, even if the people at the church despise you, even if people around you tear you down, even if you're ugly in the world's standards, even if you're overweight, even if you're just a terrible person, Jesus still loves you, and that's your value. She says, you know what we celebrated last week? I said, yeah. He loves you that much. When parents, kids and parents play the game, and don't you love me, Mom? You stretch out your hands. Jesus put his hands out, got them pierced at his feet, one top the other, got them pierced too. I love you that much. Now measure that. And that just blew me away. That is our value. That is that value system. I started to think about that. I started to think about the purpose of the cross. And even Julie came up to me and kind of clarified that one portion of my sermon this morning that I didn't have. I read something with the cross. The cross is valuable. They prelude that. When the Jews rebelled against the Romans, years after Jesus was gone, about 70 AD around there, they crucified 500 Jews a day, every day, until they ran out of wood to physically do that. 500 people a day, every day, on crosses, hung around the cities for miles. You'd have to walk miles in every direction to find space to plant the next cross, to hang the man up there, because their people rebelled. 500 a day till they ran out of wood. I started thinking about that. There's something in that. What is that? What is there about the cross? Okay, it's 2 pieces of wood strapped together. What does it mean? What does it mean? And then Julie comes up to me and starts talking to me this morning, and she says, well, there's value in that. And we started talking, and I thought, wow, it's so powerful. You're reading the Gospels about the crucifixion. After he's flogged and his flesh is completely destroyed, there wasn't an inch, literally, of skin and flesh left of him that hadn't been beaten, ripped, or torn to pieces, that he was bruised till he was unrecognizable. So Christ is in that state. And most prisoners who was condemned to death had to do the shame walk, which is the walk you see in Passion of Christ. And they get paraded around town as they're mocked, ridiculed, spit on, and beat upon by their own people for humiliation, and then hung up naked on the cross. So, as Christ was going through this horrific beating, afterward, he isn't strapped to his cross as a thing of shame and guilt. He willingly embraces it and stands up on his own accord, and he walks the whole way on his own accord. And he embraces that like an item of pride. Like he's proud of what he's doing. And nobody understands that, but we do, because we know why he did it. For us. For our value. Those 2 pieces of wood represented shame, damnation. And he embraced that. Willingly. After he was beaten so badly, most people wouldn't have survived or been able to stand. He gets up, and he picks up this 100+ pound piece of wood, and he drags it on his own accord till he couldn't anymore. To his very last breath, he dragged it.